Okay, I'm going to continue with the agent population demo part two and pick up sort of where I left off. And that initially, what this model is doing at this point is simply iterating through 20 hours of this agent development based upon the agent population, which creates three agents using this custom function to center them. And as it iterates through the model, each agent has a probability of transitioning from A to B, or from B to C, or from C to A, and those are set up based upon these sliders. And you can alter these and see what kind of impact it has on the model itself. The movement of the agents is based upon where they are and where it is that they're supposed to be, so that if the agent is not in the appropriate location, this move function, which is executed each time this agent is evaluated, which is once per time unit, then it attempts to move it closer to where it's supposed to be. Now, there's also a reproduce function that's built in here, which says the function is to go ahead and add an agent, though that action is based upon a probability, and I'm going to go ahead and say that the probability that it adds an agent is 10%, so that each time that it migrates or cycles through 20 time units for each one of the three agents, initially there is a 10% chance that that agent will reproduce. And it will reproduce an agent just like itself. Now, if it reproduces, then the next time period, there are then four agents as opposed to three. So let me go ahead and simulate this, and you'll notice that the population of agents begins to increase, and they're moving, so that if you end up with an agent that's somewhere other than where it's supposed to be, and it reproduces, then both of those agents are headed in the direction of where they're supposed to be, so that all of the pop A agents, all of the agents in state pop A, which are intended to be part of that population, should be located around this point in the grid, and these are actually moving in this direction, whereas the ones that are pop Bs that are in the wrong location will end up moving in this direction, and the pop C ones will end up moving in this direction. So now, by using this reproduce function of 10% probability, when you run it, the population of agents increases over time, as opposed to just transitioning from states and continuing to move to the location they're supposed to be. And because this is all done based upon probabilities, no two runs are close to being the same. So the additional aspect of this is that we can go ahead and add another action, the action being for an agent to remove itself from the population. And we can set up and say that there's a 0.05, there's only a 5% probability that the agent will actually die, and that will change the number of agents that we end up with over time, because you notice at some point in time it's gone from 3 to 2 to 1 back to 2, and it appears at the moment that the death probability is probably too high, or the reproduce probability is too low, because the population doesn't seem to actually increase. The because of the way the settings are, the death rate's too high. So I could go ahead and say, all right, the probability of reproducing is 25%, and now when I run it, you will see that it creates more agents that are transitioning from state to state and therefore trying to migrate locations. So it was, the model was difficult for me to initially understand because I didn't understand about the transitions and the states implying locations and how the locations were actually being calculated based upon the action in conjunction with a macro defined. So I would suggest that you interact with the model, and even better yet, use this as a template and build one that looks just like it, so that you have to actually step through the creation of every component and go ahead and define the parameters for each of those components. I mean, it's going through and actually touching the pieces that really support the learning, as opposed to just playing with it. I mean, it's real easy to just open it up and run it and change the parameters and run it. But doing that doesn't reinforce the understanding about how to actually go ahead and build one. So that going through the motions of actually constructing all of the pieces and getting it to work ends up being a sort of a trial and learning experience. And some of it may be somewhat frustrating, though I continue to find that actually going through the steps is a beneficial experience. So I'll see you in the next element of the model, of the agent-based learning module.